Hey everybody, my name is Ellery. I am the health adventurer, and you guys are too. You guys are all on your own health journey, health adventure. And today I was gonna make a video today about some of the things that I've been going through, some of the symptoms I've been experiencing and this and that. And I thought I would actually go ahead and, instead of getting into all this kind of technical stuff about what I'm experiencing, I thought I would go ahead and make more of like a support video where we can all kind of talk about our own experiences and what we've learned from them, and share with each other what we've learned. So just to right off the bat, I'm not a medical professional or anything like that. I'm certainly not here to give medical advice or anything, but I do think it's helpful when we share our experiences with each other. We can learn from each other, and we can decide what to do and ask better questions for our medical advisors and whatnot. So yeah, and I do think as far as health is concerned, health is more than just it's more than just healthy eating. It's a much bigger picture than that. We don't live in a vacuum. We're all connected to each other. So relationships, our environment, our environment is super toxic, so it's really hard to avoid that. And we're all just doing our best, pretty much. So if you are feeling overwhelmed or whatever, just know that you're not alone. We're all, hello, welcome to the chat. We're all trying to do our best in a very toxic environment. So this channel, I pretty much focus on the food aspect of health. Obviously, like I was saying, there's many different aspects of health. There's also the emotional one. I do think that's one I want to talk a little bit more on this channel about as well. But also, things like the environment, with 75% of cancer being caused by gasoline, according to the EPA. It's hard not to look at that and to wonder, hey, why aren't we doing a little bit more as a society about that? But that's a whole other, topic. I actually have another channel for that. It's called True Zero Emissions. Me and my boyfriend are on that channel, and we're doing experiments to try to extend the range on electric cars. But this channel is really about, mostly I'm focusing on food and, how I'm looking at how food impacts my body. And so I've definitely found some interesting things. Just to give a little bit of a background, I've been dealing with some autoimmune problems, so particularly lupus, a little bit of scleroderma, a little bit of rheumatoid arthritis, so almost like, it feels like a little bit of everything there. And I've just been, thank you so much, that's very nice. So I've been just pretty much trying to figure out what works for me and what doesn't in terms of food, and what triggers things, and how basically I'm trying to deal with everything in the most natural way possible. Some people, everyone has their own opinion about conventional medicine versus alternative medicine. I'm one of those. That I really like to focus on natural ways of healing, because I really do believe that we have the ability to heal ourselves, and that, it helps when we get back in touch with what's most natural. So I've been trying to, work things out through food, with a little bit of herbs. I've been doing a raw vegan diet for the past 10 weeks or so. So that's actually been working pretty well for me. I have noticed, that vegetables, this is something I've said in a lot of other videos, when I eat raw vegetables, it actually, I've been dealing with autoimmune problems, so lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, and a little bit of scleroderma. Basically what's worked for me is fruit. So fruit, I have really like zero problems with my hands. Anytime, every single time I try to eat a raw vegetable, my hands go crazy, and it doesn't always happen right away. It can take a day or 12 hours or something. Sometimes it'll happen in 20 minutes. Yeah, basically, yesterday I tried eating some corn because I thought, hey, you know, I want to try to incorporate more vegetables because, hey, vegetables are healthy, and, you know, I also am trying to reduce all of the sugar that's passing my teeth and stuff. I'm trying to keep my teeth healthy too. And, you know, I thought, hey, maybe I'll get a little more protein, but as soon as I had that corn, actually I had a little bit itching, like on my elbow, so it was probably, you know, candida. So it's an interesting connection to make too, that possibly, because later that evening I had some issues with rheumatoid arthritis. I woke up in the night and my hands were closed up on me, and I hadn't had that in a very long time since eating really only fruit. So it seems like maybe that, you know, the corn does tend to be a little bit, the candida tend to like, the fungus tend to like corn. It's got a lot of glucose and starch, so that seems to be an irritant for my rheumatoid arthritis. So it's a very interesting thing to note. So I thought that was something that I would share with you guys as something that I've experienced. So, and I've experienced this with a lot of other vegetables, bok choy, carrots, all kinds of different vegetables I've had a lot of issues with. So that's me. You know, some people seem to thrive on eating raw fruits and vegetables all the time, and you know, I really struggle with the raw vegetables myself. So this not really a relevant question to the topic, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to get into personal relationship stuff. I'm more talking about a social, you know, supportive type of thing. So anyways, so, and yes, and then also help. So so yeah, so we like I said, we don't exist in a vacuum, and so even the whole raw food thing, you know, let's say the raw food thing works for some people. Well, if there's so many toxins in the environment that, and your body's just so done with all of it, then it might just be that, you know, you can do all the raw fruits and vegetables you want. It might help a little bit, but you know, it's still, we're still pumping so many toxins into the air and into our food, and you know, all that stuff in the air goes into the oceans, and then that, you know, gets our fish. I'm so overwhelmed by all the information out there and what I think I need to be doing. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. I feel that way too, and I have spent so much of my own time, my own free time, just trying to research and sort through it all. So I don't know what you're dealing with, but I've been reading a lot about raw foods and eating raw fruits and vegetables. And for me, I started with a vegan diet, a cooked vegan diet. So, and that helped a lot with, I had some acne, I had hormonal acne, and that actually made it go away. However, it wasn't enough to help me with the issues I was dealing with, rheumatoid arthritis, and where I would have my hands close up on me because my joints would get inflamed. Thank you. So yeah, that it just wasn't enough. So I had to do more research. Apple cider vinegar, manuka honey, probiotics, magnesium, vitamin B. Yeah, totally. Yes, there's all that stuff out there. Apple cider vinegar. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about apple cider vinegar. I haven't tried it myself. I personally wouldn't take apple cider vinegar, I guess. I think the main thing, if you're gonna do anything, I would say whole foods, plant-based is really the way to go. Maybe a little flexitarian if you feel like you need some protein or something like that. And again, I'm not a medical professional, but this is just from me doing my own research. So obviously, talk to whoever you have to talk to about that stuff, dietitian, nutritionist, whatever. But just from my own research and my own experience as well, at least going with a plant-based, whole foods, the least processed seems to be the best. And then, if you can get, like, for example, food allergy tests, sometimes that helps. For me, just eating only fruit, one of the really great benefits about that, besides the fact that my hands actually work now the way they're supposed to, except if I try vegetables and mess it all up. But the one thing that's really great is that I can see what foods and what types of things affect me negatively. So, you know, just having that kind of like canvas has been really, really great for me. So if you were to try something like that, I would expect, you know, hello, oh hey, from Orange County, cool, neighbor. So yeah, for me, when I tried, you know, just when I started going raw vegan, I did notice I definitely had like a lot more bowel movements. My bowel movements were very, you know, like inconsistent. Like sometimes it'd be more constipated and sometimes it'd be more watery, and then finally it kind of got into like an equilibrium. I suffer from adrenal fatigue, so doctor recommends high protein, high fat, tons of veggies, keto. Okay, I have anxiety. Okay. Yeah, wow. So adrenal fatigue, I feel like I suffer from that too sometimes. I mean, I haven't had that confirmed by a doctor. Yeah, I can't, again, like I said, I can't make a recommendation. I would just see if it's working for you. If what you're doing isn't working for you, then I would, you know, I would switch it up and see, you know, give it a couple weeks and see if it does anything for you. And if it's not, try something else. I've been watching Dr. Robert Morse on YouTube. He has a lot of information. He really promotes fruit only. You know, I was very kind of like what is he talking about, fruit only at first? No, I'm not a nutritionist, so again, I can't actually really make any recommendations to anybody. I'm just sharing what I'm learning just from my own research. So I'm just independently researching stuff and just sharing my experience and what I'm learning with you guys. Yeah, so he's, you know, Dr. Robert Morse, he's really, he's got some interesting information out there. He would be one of those who suggests fruit, you know, and he pretty much suggests fruit for everything. But what fruit does, according to Dr. Robert Morse, and what it seems to have done in my own experience, is to clean out mucus and clean out just in general the lymphatic system. And actually, I was reading an article about complement immune deficiency and what it basically is. So that's kind of, you could say that I have low C3C and low C4C levels, which could indicate lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, etc. All those things I've been experiencing. Hello from Cali, awesome. And if you read about it, it basically talks about, let's see where it was, that basically that having those low levels means that you're not able to clear out damaged cells. So what is that, according to Dr. Robert Morse, is the lymphatic system. That is basically the lymphatic system is backed up, and it can't dispose of all this garbage, basically, all the toxins and stuff that's in our bodies. And if you have, for example, if you have adrenal fatigue, you're probably, I'm guessing that you probably produced a lot of cortisol at one point because you're really, really stressed. And so cortisol, you know, has, I think it tends to make us acidic, if I remember correctly, if it makes sense. I am a vegan. I'm actually raw vegan right now. I'm definitely open to different types of diets and things like that, depending on what's working for me at a given time. But right now, eating only fruit is working for me and rheumatoid arthritis. So yeah, I don't, as far as the adrenal fatigue thing is concerned, it seems like if you're eating a lot of high protein, I don't know if high protein would be good for adrenal fatigue or not. And again, I'm not a nutritionist, but just based on what I've researched, it seems like it might be better to try and incorporate more fruits and things like that, because it might help. I don't know. Am I against eating eggs? I'm actually not against. I'm not against any type of diet. I'm actually open to really any type of diet that seems to be effective for any kind of given condition. And we're all different. You know, like my boyfriend, for example. You know, he's got a lot of like pain and things like that. He's been in a lot of accidents, and so I think he's got a lot of inflammation and stuff in his body. But for him, when he tries to eat fruit, which is all I eat right now, it seems like he experiences too much detox symptoms. It's just too intense for him. It seems to kind of clean him out a little bit, but it's too much for him. So he tends to, you know, only do fruit sparingly, and he still incorporates some vegetables and some rice and things like that. For me, you know, if I eat vegetables or cooked food or whatever, it doesn't seem to help my hands with rheumatoid arthritis. The only thing that's been helping me so far Juicing, yes, juicing does work for me as well. I actually had a juicer. I had it was an Omega, like one of those. It was Omega Cube, and I thought that the juice actually tasted really, really good. But it was kind of hard to clean, so then I ended up returning it. So I think I want to get another juicer one of these days. Apparently, Fully Raw Christina and John Kohler, those are two raw foodists that I follow. They use Hiram juicer, so I'm going to be looking into that and see, you know, if that's any good. But you know, I was actually watching a video on YouTube with this lady who had said she had recovered from cancer after she started juicing. And she just to start off, she just went to the Goodwill and she got a juicer for like $15, and she did it that way. So where do you get your reliable research on health tips? That's a really good question. I'm searching into various, you know, I do search both the conventional side and also alternative. The thing with alternative stuff is there's actually not a lot of research out there, and I think that's why it's kind of alternative, you know, called alternative, because a lot of the things, a lot of the methods haven't really been studied or tested under clinical trials. So, you know, I basically am sort of relying on, for that kind of stuff, I'm relying on anecdotal experiences as well as my own, just trying and experimenting with myself. The thing is, with a lot of those types of things, you know, sometimes there's not a lot of money in, for example, raw foods. You know, there's not, you can't patent raw foods. So drug companies, for example, yes, juicing is awesome. Drug companies, for example, they're not going to, they can't invent a new raw food, but they can come up with a new patent for a new drug. So the kinds of things that get studied are drugs and things like that, and that's what gets pushed to doctors and all kinds of stuff. So you know, I mean, it's not to put down, you know, clinical studies, because I think clinical studies are really great, and I would like to see more studies being done on these kind of alternative methods of approaching health and healing. But unfortunately, you know, we don't really see that, and I don't know if we'll see that. You know, I hope that, you know, at some point we will, and I do think that as a society we also need to value, you know, getting to the root of things and valuing health a little bit more. So yeah, that's the thing with alternative stuff. But you know, I do find I find it useful to read some of the stuff that I don't always agree with sometimes too, because there's usually some good information in there. So it's just kind of, it's not really an easy answer, and I don't have one source that I specifically go to. I guess let's see, what is that? There's a couple like government sites and stuff that I do check that have, I forget what they're called. I would know when I see them. It starts with an N. Who's the kind of famous raw diet advocate with the really curly hair? Probably Fully Raw Christina. Yeah, so she's really big on advocating raw foods. So yeah, I mean, and again, it's like, it's one of those things you gotta, if you're gonna try something like that, it's like you're just trusting someone that you see on YouTube, and you're like, okay, like, you know, can I really base my experience on just one person's experience? Well, no. So it's definitely an experimental thing to try. And for me, for example, like Fully Raw Christina, she advocates eating like several pounds of leafy greens per day. I think like 3 or 4 pounds of leafy greens per day. And like, there's no way, you know, that I could do that. Now, if I would be interested to see, and the reason why I can't do that is because anytime I've eaten vegetables, it negatively affects the rheumatoid arthritis in my hands. So, a guy, Pete Holmes podcast. Okay, I don't know. I don't know all the raw foodists out there. So yeah, if you think of the name, you know, I'd be interested in checking them out. So yeah, like I said, you know, not one thing works for every single person. I go to the salad bar 4 times a week. Okay, I wish I could do that. I wish I could eat more vegetables, because it does have, you know, excuse me, higher protein and stuff like that. So, yes, Google's awesome. Yeah, what was I saying? I don't know. You guys, tell me about your experiences and what you're trying to learn, and what you have learned. Do you like protein shakes? You know, I used to. But the thing is with protein, like protein powders and stuff, I've noticed a lot of them have like natural flavoring, or they'll say like organic, and you just don't know what's in those flavoring. It's very vague, and I don't think the regulations for that term are very strict. So I tend to just avoid like protein powders, but what I do use is I'll use like spirulina or chlorella powders. I put those into smoothie. Those are kind of my, and for some reason I don't have any issues with my rheumatoid arthritis with those for some reason. Muscle milk, oh man, I used to drink those all the time, but I think those actually kind of have like a high amount of mercury in them from what I understand. So I'm like, all right, well, time to detox that mercury out. Yeah, so I don't do the muscle milks anymore. I used to do that. I used to do a very high protein diet when I was training with a personal trainer for a little while, and I abandoned that since because I actually it doesn't really seem to help me much. So yeah, that's my thoughts on high protein, I guess. I'm not against incorporating protein into the future. I probably wouldn't do protein shakes and things like that. I probably would do more like, I would probably start with raw fish or something. I mean, that's got some mercury in it too, darn it, but I would probably rather do fish or something like a real food as opposed to, yeah, it does have a lot of mercury in it also, which is why I haven't been eating fish either, but I did used to work at a couple sushi restaurants for a while, and I ate a lot of sushi and a lot of seafood at that time, so I'm sure I'm pretty overloaded on heavy metals. And I also live in Los Angeles, and I'm sure there's plenty of heavy metals in the air from gasoline and all that. Turmeric capsules, is there a drawback to ingesting it that way? Generally, it's going to be different than eating fresh turmeric. The way that I usually eat turmeric is in a smoothie. I find that the easiest way to eat turmeric, but I mean, I guess you have to see, how it impacts you, like if it's giving you the results you want or not. I don't know. I've never tried turmeric capsules, but usually, of course, going with fresh is going to be the best. But if you can't do that and you still want to take turmeric for one reason or another, just reduce inflammation or something like that, then yeah, you can try those capsules and see if they give you the results. Because if they don't, then I guess you kind of know that it's probably not doing anything for you. So yeah. Yeah. What else? Do you ever drink alcohol? No, I do not drink alcohol. I used to, a couple years ago, I was in college or whatever, I drank some alcohol and stuff, but, for me, it's just not my thing. Definitely noticed a result, just wanted your take. Okay, cool, awesome, that's good to know, and I appreciate hearing your feedback on that, because maybe if I want turmeric capsules, I'll go with the turmeric capsules instead of raw turmeric. So, okay, cool. So alcohol. For me, I just don't do. I don't do alcohol. It's not for me. It seems to create depression and all kinds of things. I just don't personally like it. I've tried to just do it moderately with socially or whatever. It's just not my thing. Yeah, I also don't smoke marijuana either, so or ingest it or anything like that. Whew. I'm like, my voice is getting tired already. Yeah, I try to avoid pretty much like mind-altering substances. I like to be centered, and if I want to, experience a different mental state, I might do something like meditate or something like that. I don't like to ingest things to do that. But I'm not against, other people doing that, of course. That's just my personal thing. Milk thistle the next day is supposed to help. Well, that makes sense. Milk thistle, it's supposed to help the liver detoxify. So actually, I've been taking some milk thistle just as part of my detoxification protocol. I can't say whether or not I've really noticed that it helps or not, to be honest with you guys, but I take it anyway, and I'm just kind of hoping for the best, and as long as my hands are working, I feel pretty good. I heard the prescription jugs in the capsule form stay in your colon for a long time. Ooh, okay, well that's good to know, because I had a really bad experience with prescription drugs, and that I was on Nexium for 7 years. Since I was 13 until I was like 20 or 21, I was on a proton pump inhibitor, so that's for acid reflux. And that medication, as it turns out, upon doing some recent research, is only supposed to be taken for 8 weeks maximum. So that drug is really bad. So if it's in my colon, at least I know where it's hanging out. It's mostly water and waiting out. Yeah, exactly. It's water. If you do drink alcohol, yeah, alcohol will dehydrate you as well. So it's another good reason why I don't drink alcohol. Yeah, wow. So hanging out in the colon, prescription drugs. That is interesting. I'm sure it does. I would imagine that prescription drugs would, lodge themselves in different areas, perhaps not just the colon. Nexium, for example, I guess it can cause. Isn't red wine good for your heart? You know what? I would say grapes are probably better. They do say that. There's a lot of studies out there. I mean, it's kind of strange. Like they'll have like studies like, wine is good for you, and chocolate's good for you, and coffee is actually good for you. And it's like, well, I mean, they might be looking at like one aspect of it, but you kind of have to look at the whole picture. So, fatty foods help a hangover. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, I think people like to hear that because people enjoy alcohol and they enjoy chocolate and they enjoy coffee and they don't want to give it up. And so having, studies that are promoted that are like focused on like one aspect of like, oh, it has antioxidants, but then it's like, oh, but it also is really bad for you in this way. It will affect your liver. Shouldn't part of the treatment for depression and anxiety be psychotherapy? Yes. I actually used to, I was in psychotherapy for quite some time, I think like 2 years or something like that, because I was suffering from depression and anxiety pretty badly, and what helped me was actually something called somatic therapy. So I don't know, different words, psychosomatic therapy, somatic therapy, and what that was basically I was working with a psychotherapist who's she was a registered psychologist or whatever, she had her credentials, but she also, her approach was to incorporate focusing on the body and getting in touch with the body and the physical feelings and sensations within the body, because a lot of times we're in a very analytical type of thinking world where we tend to get really stuck in our minds and in our heads. But the more you get in touch with your body, the more you can get in touch with your own truth, I guess, to put it that way. But your body is very intelligent. It's actually, my psychotherapist always said that, your body is more intelligent than your mind. Yes, yoga is definitely amazing as well. So yoga has kind of a similar effect. So I found it helpful to go to that kind of a psychotherapist. For me, I've been drinking green tea with honey and ginseng for a few years now, and I was like, okay, that sounds good. Yeah, so that kind of therapy I found helpful for me because I got to experience that kind of holistic benefit of getting in touch with my body, and also kind of it kind of got me in touch with more of like a creative space. And I feel like when we're in touch with creativity, we're in touch with life and expansion and really good positive feelings. So that helped me get in touch with that, but it also, having that space to talk about, whatever was coming up, and I actually found a lot of my emotions were stored in my body. A lot of people think that everything is in your head, but actually, I went to acupuncture, and as a part of, I was trying to heal not only from anxiety and depression, but I was also dealing with a lot of physical injuries, particularly tendonitis as well. And I went to acupuncture. I feel like this is my journal. Yeah, so I'm always writing and stuff too, and yes, so in a way, yes, I feel like this is kind of my journal too. So I went to acupuncture, and I had a point on my wrist, and when the acupuncturist hit that point, it made me cry, not because it hurt really bad physically, because it really didn't, but it made me cry because it was connecting me with an emotion that I had been feeling, that I had been storing. I was in like a relationship, and I was like experiencing all these things coming up in the relationship, and that he hit that point, and then just like boom. It kind of freaked me out a little bit because I didn't know what to do. I felt like I didn't know what to do with the feelings. Like I was crying, and I was like with this acupuncturist, and he was very nice, but he wasn't a psychotherapist, so he wasn't able to like help me work through those feelings, or maybe I didn't feel safe doing that. So working with a somatic therapist helped me, I guess, get in touch with my body, and also, deal with some of the overwhelming feelings that I had. So that's my experience with psychotherapy. When was the last time you drank soda? That's an interesting question. Actually, a very long time ago. Is there trauma in your past? Well, I think everyone has trauma. So yes, definitely there's trauma. So back to the other question for a second about soda. So I used to drink soda until I think I was in like 4th grade. Being human, I say being human on this planet is a trip. Because if there's other planets out there, like, I don't know if they're as crazy as this one, but I feel like this planet is really, it's a rough ride here. So I used to drink soda when I was in like 4th grade, and then I went on, like, I have kind of like a type A personality, generally speaking, although I feel like meditation has tamed that down a little bit, but it's still kind of there. And then I started, like, at the Games of Thrones planet. Yeah, it kind of feels that way. I started doing like a New Year's resolution every year. So I took out dark colas, and then I took out, so then I was just drinking Sprite, and then I eventually took that out. So I think, so the last time I probably had soda was like age 12, 13 maybe. So I haven't really had soda since then. Gives me gas like you wouldn't believe. Yeah, I mean, soda has a lot of carbonation, so yeah, I could see that happening. Definitely soda is just not good for you. I think we all know that. So yeah, definitely one to avoid. So Games of Thrones planet. Yeah, this planet is we're very competitive, and we're kind of all like pitted against each other, and I really feel like it doesn't make any sense. Like, we don't need to be, like, the way that we, this is a whole other philosophical conversation, and I actually do have like another channel where I want to talk about all this stuff, and I haven't really done that yet, but just some of the ideas and some of the things I think about, I do think about this, and I talk with my boyfriend about it a lot too. It's just that, we're all kind of pitted against each other, and the way that our system is, that we have this political system with, we got 2 parties, so we're always like clashing, and then we've got like our economy, which is like, our economy almost is like irrelevant to like what is actually good for us, like, because the economy is so focused on just producing whatever, and it creates waste and all this stuff. I grew up thinking milk and bread is healthy. Yeah, I grew up that way too. And I was actually, I was vegetarian throughout high school. I ate a lot of cheese and pasta, and I was thinking like, yeah, I'm doing good. And I mean, maybe it wasn't the worst thing in the world, but considering where I'm at now, I'm like, okay, well, I don't think those things work so well for me now, that's for sure. But yeah, I feel you. I feel like I've been lied to too sometimes. I'm like, man, I was eating like, I think I was in like 7th grade or something, and did like a health study in class. It was part of like our science class or something, and we were just doing like a food journal, and like I thought I was healthy, and then I learned about like white breads and things like that. Hello from Oregon, hello. And I was so disappointed. I was like, most of my diet was actually junk, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I felt like jaded. I was like, come on, like I thought I was eating healthy. But then I got really into health after that. Do you eat chicken and turkey? No, I don't at this time. Yeah, right now I'm trying to just focus on cleaning my body. Protein and stuff is good for like building, but I'm not focused on building anything right now. I'm just trying to clean out the crap. And fruit, and see, everything has high fructose corn syrup in it. Yeah, that is true. There is a lot of high fructose corn syrup, and it's not good. Do you know Gaber Mate? No, I don't. I use hemp powder. Okay. I have a strange thing with nuts and seeds as well. I'm basically sensitive to everything right now, I think. Maybe because I'm just in such a like health crisis or something, and I just need to be eating just fruits. But I don't know, nuts and seeds, I drink juice sometimes besides water. Nuts and seeds for me, like I get, well, particularly with like almonds and cashews and like all those kinds of things. I don't know about as much with seeds, but it makes me break out. It gives me cystic acne. No seeds and hemp powder. That's interesting. I'll have to learn more about that. So I don't, what's in hemp powder then? If it's not the seed. Nuts are bad for digestion. Yeah, I've found that too. So yeah, it's kind of crazy because like the fruit is really good. Like my body loves the fruit, and I do really well with the fruit. But you know, my teeth are kind of like, hey, what's up? Like I'll notice, like, you know, get a little bit of sensitivity here and there. It's hemp pulverized. Okay, I'll check that out. That sounds interesting. Yeah, the fruit is really good, but it's really hard to maintain like healthy teeth with it. I was told 1 glass of orange juice is worse than eating a slice of cake. I feel like that's such bullshit. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Into a powder. Nuts are bad for digestion in what way? Well, they have like phytates and like some other anti-nutrients, I guess you would call them. I think that's what it is. They have some things in there that can inhibit absorption of some things. So that's partly why nuts are not like the greatest thing. I think they're supposed to be soaked, and it's better if they're sprouted, and similar to like grains, I guess. Like grains are also better to be soaked and sprouted and that sort of thing, and it can reduce some of those phytates. Hard to digest nuts for the colon. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I mean, for me, the biggest thing I notice is not just personally is the acne. Are they just good for some fat then? Yes, I mean, some people don't have the kind of problem like that I have, like with acne. Although I think my boyfriend breaks out a little bit too when he eats nuts. But they have some protein in them. You know, they've got they do have some other nutrients in them. But yeah, there's something that they don't really work for me, at least not right now. Yeah, if I were to incorporate something else into my diet, I'd probably try, I don't know, I've tried raw vegetables and it's not working. I was doing cooked vegan for a while, and that wasn't doing anything for my hands, so I can't imagine doing like cooked vegetables again would do anything. I mean, I could try it again. I'm just like, it's always scary because then, oh yeah, coconut and avocado seem to be okay for me. I don't seem to have avocado is like, coconut is like here, and then avocado is like there. So coconut's a little bit better in my personal experience. The only problem with coconut is I know that they dip those things in a lot of chemicals, I guess, before they ship them over to the US. So like the best way to get fresh coconuts is like living in Thailand. But yeah, I'm not planning to move to Thailand anytime soon, although that does sound kind of appealing maybe. Try pomegranate. Okay, that sounds good. How many grams of protein do you have a day? So I do calculate you know, what I'm taking in. And that is one thing that I seem to be low on, although I don't feel bad from it. Coconut oil lotion is cool. Yeah, coconut oil is good for skin and stuff like that. Yeah, so what was I saying? Oh, protein. Yeah, so I get probably 32 grams, maybe 35 grams of protein in a day. For my body weight, I think I'm supposed to get at least like 37, 38, somewhere around there. So I'm a little bit low on the low side with eating only fruit. But since I'm just cleaning everything out right now, I'm not, yes, I'm actually right now I'm fruitarian, which is kind of like more the extreme version of vegan, I guess. But that's just what's been working for my body. And again, like I'm open to changing it if I find that other things are, you know, if I'm able to tolerate other things. What kind of protein do you get? So the protein I get is just from fruit. There is actually, there are amino acids in fruit, so, you know, and actually there's, some people say that, you know, plant protein is actually easier to digest the protein than for example, animal protein, because it's not this big long chain of amino acids that you have to break down. It's already kind of broken down, and then it just is put together, so that's kind of an interesting perspective on that. What kind of fruit has a lot of protein? Oh, that's a good question. I mean, none of them has like significant amounts of protein for sure. But yeah, I probably, I'm just gonna guess and throw it out there. I've never had this before, but durian or something like that. It's like an exotic fruit with like, I'm guessing. I don't know. Yeah, honestly, I can't really answer that. No fruit really has like significant amounts of protein really, but if you're only eating fruit like I am, you're still gonna get like a decent amount. It's just not enough. Do you consider avocado a fruit? Yeah, it is kind of crazy. Yes, no vegetables. I've tried vegetables and it doesn't work for me. I just forgot the other question. Sorry. There's a lot going on. Yeah, so vegetables. Okay, yeah, vegetables don't work for me. For my hands with the rheumatoid arthritis, it always seems to be. Oh, avocado. Thank you. Yeah, avocado. I guess it's technically a fruit, but it is more like it's okay. Yeah, I know there's a lot of comments. It's cool. It's great. Like I got all these people talking and I'm talking to you guys and it's fun. Yeah, it's technically a fruit, I guess, but it definitely doesn't have the same like cleansing properties and stuff as the other fruits. Yeah, and I guess I feel better not eating too much avocado personally. That's just me. Are the amino acids in your diet considered your daily proteins? Yeah, yeah. And if I were to, let's see, if I were to log into, I'm gonna see if I can log into Chronometer here, and just show you guys. Fruits grow on trees and veggies from the ground. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So fruits are, and I don't know all the technical aspects of like what makes a fruit and what makes a vegetable, but I'm pretty sure like a vegetable is like the plant itself, whereas like a fruit is like the reproductive part in a way of the plant, where it has like the seed and yeah. I think that's about as much as that's the best way I can explain it, I guess. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so here I'm going to flip the camera for a second so I can show you. I use a site called Chronometer just to take a look at what I'm eating. Okay, so this is chronometer.com. Okay, so this was, I think this was yesterday, the day before, I'm not sure, but I had some coconut, some avocados, I had some fats in there, but then I had a lot of watermelon. That's basically two mini watermelons. Pineapple, I had like, that's probably about a quarter of a pineapple or something in there, and some supplements as well. Okay, so this is definitely not a perfect diet here. I actually ate quite a few calories. I was pretty hungry, had over 2,000 calories, but I do some intermittent fasting as well, so it seems like I kind of, my calories kind of yo-yo, and I just kind of go based on, you know, how I feel too. Sometimes I'll end up fasting because I don't really feel up to eating because maybe I'm detoxing or something like that. Okay, so you can see I have like all these lovely vitamins over here. Like I've got lots of those, no problem there. So that's kind of the point with detoxing, is to get a lot of that. You know, fat, you know, I had a lot of coconut, so that's why the saturated fat is way up there. I got more omega-3s and omega-6, that's pretty good. So iron's a little low, you know, I probably could have some more iron. Probably could do, maybe I could have done like chlorella or spirulina or something to add in some iron. Those are pretty high in iron. A teaspoon is like, I think it's like 30% of your iron intake. Okay, so you can see my protein is a bit low over here. I've got about 32 grams. These are all the different amino acids. This is a breakdown of all the different amino acids. Cysteine, for example, I think that's a non-essential amino acid. There might be one other non-essential amino acid on there, but they're mostly essential amino acids, which means that your body can't make them. You have to eat them. So, and again, like for my body weight, I should be actually getting like 37 grams or so of protein. Ideally 37 or 38, but it is a little bit low. You know, and again, I'm not focused on that right now. I mean, I've been trying, you know, my goal was to eat a little bit more vegetables to try to get more of the protein in, but since my hands don't like the vegetables, it's really difficult. So I may have to try something else if I want to increase my protein intake at a later time. Like maybe I will try
you know, I know seafood's got some mercury and stuff in there, but if it's really needed, then I may have to do something like that. Or I could, you know, I could incorporate a little bit, you know, small amounts of I don't know, maybe some cooked food. You know, maybe the cooked vegetables won't have as bad of an impact at that time, you know, when I find that I need to do that. So that's just what I've been doing, you know, lately. And sometimes my caloric intake is pretty low, so because like I said, I'm intermittent fasting sometimes. So this is a day with a little bit higher caloric intake.
All right, so we're back. So that hopefully that answers your question, and that was a chronometer. Thank you so much. Awesome. Thank you for joining the chat. I hope you come back and we can learn some more from each other, because I've got some cool little tips from you guys. Someone said pomegranates. I'll be looking through this again. Chinese don't eat the same food they serve us in restaurants. I don't know. I haven't been to China, so I don't know what they eat in China on a regular basis. But most things like in America are pretty altered to American tastes and things like that. So that's what tends to happen. So I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else to. Well, let's see. Spices. I've noticed that some spices also negatively impact my body. I had it was something from Trader Joe's, actually. It was like it was called 21 Seasonings Salute. Awesome, thank you so much for following. It was called 21 Seasonings Salute, and I think it caused something with my hands, like with the rheumatoid arthritis when I ate that. So I've noticed that I have to be careful. I try to stay away from like the powdered spices. From what I've read, I have to find the article, but there was an article that said that like some of the powdered spices actually. Do you have any friends or relatives who eat unhealthy and laugh at your diet? I don't tell my friends and relatives, actually, too many of them, like what I eat these days. I've been pretty like isolated, and like my boyfriend and I, like we both eat really, you know, my boyfriend's totally into what I'm doing. He's like, he wants to do some of it, but he can only do so much of it before he's like, I want chicken and rice or whatever. But yeah, I pretty much I try to limit like who I tell my diet about, because like I know that if I were to tell like my family about my diet, like I'd probably get a big lecture on my diet, and I don't really like it's kind of irrelevant to like, you know, hear someone tell you like you should be doing this or you should be doing that when you're doing something and it's working for you, at least for the time being, you know what I mean? So yeah, so I haven't been home for a while, and I don't know. Thanksgiving would be an interesting, I don't know. We'll see about that one. But yeah, for right now, you know, it's pretty cool with just keeping it like on the DL, and except Periscope where I just tell the world, you know, but that's a different thing. It's like it's like a different thing to just like share with people on the internet versus like friends who are like, okay, well, what are you really doing? Why are you doing that? But actually, you know what's been interesting? Like I think I went to like I was meeting a friend at a restaurant, a vegan restaurant, and the Lyft driver who took me there, I was talking to her a little bit, and you know, I kind of gradually, I felt comfortable enough to share with her like what kind of diet I'm eating, and she was actually really interested in it, and it's not like she was going to try it herself. So that was kind of cool. So it's kind of a matter of like feeling out who's going to be supportive and who's not. I mean, what does your primary care doc say? So yeah, are you honest with your doctor about your diet? You know, that's something I've actually been kind of like, I don't know, like, how I feel about my primary care doctor. Like, obviously my views are pretty, like, you know, out there compared to, like, normal society, I guess, and, like, my diet is very different. I don't know. I probably won't tell her. I probably won't tell my doctor what I'm eating, just because it just, I know, I kind of have a feeling of, like, what she would say. But I don't know. I think it just depends on how it feels. Like, it wouldn't be the end of the world if I told her, you know, if I said, hey, you know, I'm trying this thing, but I don't know. It's probably not actually too big of a deal. So But I know some people, you know, everyone should be 100% honest with their doctor. Yeah, they probably should be, you know, but sometimes it just depends on the situation. Like, I probably, you know, I could tell her, but if I don't feel like, you know, I want to share that with her, you know, if it's a problem or something, that if I have a problem and, you know, hello, then, you know, maybe I'll open up about it if I think that it's necessary. But, you know, for right now, it doesn't seem necessary. So, okay, well, okay, we got some more people on again. Hello, welcome. My name is Ellery. I'm the health adventurer, and just been talking about healthy eating and you know, different types of diets and what's working for me and what's not working for me, and other people kind of chiming in with their experience. So yeah, probably not going to hang out too much longer. I'm starting to lose my voice a little bit. I've been talking for a little while. But you can also, actually, you know what, I want to show you guys I kind of updated my website a little bit, but it's missing some things still, because I need to write some more blog posts and fill it up with some wonderful content. But I want to show you kind of where the direction is heading with this. So let me flip the camera. Okay, so this is my website that I've been working on. Is thehealthadventurer.com. There's also a link in my profile. So I just did a little bit of an intro on the front here. You can read about that. But I've got my story here, so if you want to read more about my story, I've got the long version, which gets into all the details pretty much of what I've been dealing with health-wise. So that's there. And I've got a blog that's kind of my own personal experience, kind of like, you know, what I share with you guys here. And then eventually, you know, I'm going to put, I don't have any research related posts yet, but I'm going to be putting some of those on there as well. So this is kind of a cool thing here. I've got some videos. I'm going to go to click on this real quick. These are playlists that I have compiled on YouTube that I found helpful in learning more about raw foods in particular. This actually is a link for Forks Over Knives. That's a really good documentary. So this has some cool compilations of videos. And then I'm eventually gonna be, so I think I have like one post for supplements, and then blenders and juicers and things like that, just recommendations or reviews of products and stuff on there that I'll put on there. But this has got some cool compilations on here right now, so if you guys are interested in diving deeper, alright, so yeah, that's my website, The Health Adventurer, right there. Oop, my hand was covering the lens. Okay, alright, so I'm gonna take a break from talking, and my voice is totally gone right now. Thank you everyone so much for joining this evening. It's been a really fun conversation. And I hope to see you all next time. So have a good evening and take care. Bye-bye.